Hey guys, welcome to FoE Advanced. This is Bonfree from L World, and today I wanted to talk about the idea of what keeps me in this game and the things that maybe have interested me in the past and why do I keep playing it. I've been at it for a number of years now, and I could definitely be a higher point player than I am at the moment. I could spend more time or less time playing the game than I do now. But what I like about FoE is that you can kind of create your own reality in terms of how much or how little you want to play. I think within reason, there are certainly some things that has built into the game that encourage us to play daily, at least coming in once a day to the game and collecting and doing some various functions. It's been interesting to see that they've added this feature of being able to aid all and so forth. We can't obviously tavern sit across all of our friends' taverns as of yet in the one-click action, but at the same time, this is an improvement because I can pop in. Theoretically, if I want to spend time collecting with, I'm going to trigger my BG and then collect optimally for that collection, fill up my bar to 100 FP and then dump some FP on one of my higher level GBs and so forth, and then rinse repeat. I can do that, or I can pay the diamonds and just collect all finished productions. But that becomes mundane and it becomes very repetitive. I mean, this game is full of repetitive tasks, but at the same time, it's also full of a lot of things that draw me to it, and probably you as a player. If you're watching this, I think there's two things, like what draws you to the game initially, and then what keeps you sticking around. I mean, we have the social aspects, the guild aspects, the competitive part. I mean, initially when I got into the game a number of years ago, it was kind of marketed more as, hey, you can be a trader, or you can be a fighter, or you can be a farmer. And honestly, I think there is something to that, but this game very much rewards fighting activity. It's a big part of the game, I think, in terms of how points are accumulated. You can have the most gain of points, say, in one day or 1 week by fighting a lot, and has evolved that over the years, and there's certainly lots of ways that you can get lots of fights if you want. Got to put in the time, put in the hours. And then, of course, by spending goods. So when you donate goods to your treasury, for example, you can rack up a lot of points. When you do a lot of negotiating, you can rack up a lot of points. So if you're more trading mindset, you can get points that way and grow that way. But the thing that's been interesting to me over the years is I think I kind of hit the top of the bell curve maybe a year and a half ago when I was really in the mix of guild battlegrounds and in some very active, very assertive guilds, very well organized guilds that had shifts, and we had 24/7 assignments, different parts of the world, things like that. And it was an exciting new feature of the game. And of course, if you're a guild versus guild type player, if you're browser based, that can also add a lot of dynamic. But in my case, it's been research that has really driven me to grow and stay in the game. Like, do I want to level up? Well, why? And am I ready? And when I do the research on that, I found myself building spreadsheets and looking at, I was manually looking at how do I find the best way to set up my city. And I look at all these buildings manually that I have, the bakeries or the, whatever it is, the windmill, and I'm looking at, what year is this in? How many upgrade kits or one-up kits or reno kits I'm going to have to use, and why? Maybe I want to leave some of these buildings in the past because I want to farm some goods from my previous era, or maybe 2 or 3 previous eras, things like that. So there's a lot of dynamics to this game, and over the years, I built spreadsheets to make data-driven decisions to get myself to a point where I was optimizing my space and I wasn't wasting renovation kits. And then when I went up to the next era, I would be ready. Now there's some tools that they've built into the game. For example, when you go to research, I can go here. Now I'm pretty much, I'm at the end of the current world and all that stuff. So I've researched through Space Age, Jupiter, Moon, but in the past I've been able, sorry, I'm like pausing here because I'm trying to collect my thoughts. I can look ahead usually, and there's a planning tool right here. Okay, so I can go here and I can look ahead and see, okay, before I unlock the next era, whatever that is, these are all the resources I'm going to need to get through the tech tree. Some of those resources are limiting, like the special resource such as Promethium, if you're in earlier eras than where I'm at now, things like that. So there's planning needed, there's data needed, and you either have to make these reports up yourself or you can use third-party tools. And as stated in the video description, what's keeping me in the game and what utilities or what resources have I used to do that, and where am I at now? Right now, I feel like I'm in more of a mode of I want to help out other people. I want to help players that are more active than I am, that are climbing, and that maybe reach out to me and say, hey, I'm in this guild and we could use some help, etc. So I'm kind of moving around, visiting different guilds and helping them with their treasury management, helping some of the lower players get unfair trades because I've accumulated, tens and hundreds of thousands of goods. And I can afford to not be chintzy, and I can share goods with them. I can do Space Age goods trades for Iron Age and things like that, and not demand FP and whatever. I mean, I've got 200,000 FP in the bank. I could level up a bunch of GBs right now, and I just don't have the time to invest in that. So I'm trying to use my time to help others that are not at the point in the game that I am. And this tool here, Forge Commander, is what I'm going to talk about today, and I will probably talk about it in some near future videos. I like Forge Commander primarily as an aggregation tool. It's visual. It saves me a ton of time with building my own spreadsheets because there's a ton of data made available in a sense by Inno that the developer of this platform has been able to create and harness. There is a lot of information. If you want to learn more about this, you don't have to use it as a plugin, although certain features are going to be most usable, if not just flat out available, versus the proxy version. You can use a proxy version, which means you can use some of the benefits of Forge Commander on mobile and or any other platform you want without installing a plugin. But you are going to get the most features by installing a plugin either on a Mac PC, Chrome, Firefox, etc. I think one of the things that many other players ask is, am I going to get banned if I use Forge Commander or perhaps other tools? It depends on the tool. I'm looking at this as a research tool. The developer, I've communicated with the developer of this, Forge Commander, and there's an interesting question he poses on the help area here, which is, will I get banned for using Forge Commander? He says, basically up to this point, the only person that's ever been indefinitely banned using Forge Commander has been me in the US because I created and made a better GVG map at the time, which I've since removed, and also because power 8 squat function that was originally blah, blah, blah. So there's this stuff that happened at the time that the developer of this got banned, and he, of course, was working to ensure he wasn't violating any of the requirements or the features, the limiting features of the game, which I think is responsible. We don't want people being able to players being able to automatically fight and automatically snipe or do things in an automated fashion that would give them an unfair advantage. At the same time, if you're willing to put in the work, just like anything else in this game, and use the reporting tools that are, in my opinion, completely legal and and make a lot of sense to use, you can do that. And honestly, that's helped keep me in the game. I mean, I can only do so many competitive fights and aid so many people per day, and I just have other things to do, with my life. So rather than leave the game, I've decided to optimize my gameplay. And I'm going to talk about optimizing in probably a variety of videos, because I don't want this to be like an hour long. There are some areas, for example, optimizing your friends list, utilities that are built in, reporting that's built into this system that allow me to look at things a different way. Guild management, actively managing what's going on with my neighborhood, or understanding it better, knowing who might be friend or foe, and maybe I have alignment with certain people, maybe doing certain things with certain GBs, without having to go through and just click on every single player and click on a building or what have you, right? So I'm going to go into some of this shortly. It's nice to have a tool set, is what I'm saying, to enhance appropriate, balanced gameplay. Not really cutting corners, but it does save time. I mean, so it does cut corners in terms of me having to manually calculate GB contributions. I can use this tool to do it, but I still have to go through manually. It's not like I can hit a button and say, run through my neighborhood and show me all of the investment opportunities. I have to go literally through every player and look at a list of GBs for contribution options. But you have to spend time to learn how to use the utility, because if you've never used Forge Commander, you're looking at this for the first time, it can be daunting. I mean, this utility has just a ton of features built into it. You'll see my screen looks slightly different if you are used to playing on browser. I have a FP bank view up here right now. I can change that, for example. I can look at, okay, here's my limited bonuses that are available right now. Of course, you can see that same stuff over here. So buttons, but like your Forge pool bank, your Forge Point pool bank, I mean, there's no indication of that gives us. And I could do the math on this and, look at how many Forge packs I have in storage, but it's just nice to have it here. It's a time saver. It keeps me focused on the things that matter more to me, which is helping other players and optimizing my guild treasury and things like that. So I can change these views, whatever, great. That's neat and wonderful. And then there's also just this idea of where do I go to find this stuff? So Great Buildings is a place that's really good to look at in terms of your guild. So you can see, I just want to go into guild management. So I clicked on my guild over here that I'm visiting, and just in one click, I can see who's leveling what. This is a 1 week view right here. I can see who's working on what, and maybe I can offer them some additional help. Hey, do you need prints for that GB that you're working on? Or maybe other guild members need prints. It's really nice to have a heads-up display of what's happening, right? And then I can go to general guild activity. That takes a while to load, so I'm gonna skip that. I can look at guild mates and just see what is happening overall in terms of output. I can see the medals that they have added, the era they're in, without having to click on every single player. This can be really handy. Just be like, wait a minute, if you happen to miss something in the log that so-and-so just graduated to the Space Age Mars era, your treasury may get jacked without you even realizing, and them even realizing what happened. So this helps in that way, and probably many other ways too. So that's handy. And then the city output is a really good one here. Again, I'm no big expert on this. I just go in here and click around, and it seems like everything I click on does cool stuff. So here we go. Guild goods by era. It's important when you're looking, if you're a guild, battlegrounds, or GVG really type of guild, you want to see what you have going into your treasury. This speaks to whether we want to encourage everyone to build observatories. Maybe we help them level those obs. Maybe higher level players give them more benefits, or any other building that helps the treasury, right? So I can see at a glance how many of each era goods are being contributed based on the buildings that those players have in their empire. So this is a very useful tool for treasury management. Again, overview, I can get some pretty good data here about attack defense percentages, buffs, things like that. I'm not as concerned about points and things. I'm just more looking at unit production, the types of goods that are being produced, SOHs, HOFs, things like that. So again, very, very helpful. This is just one basic report area, right? But very informative. And there are other areas that are very helpful too. And I'll probably go into this in another video, but what I really wanted to address was, at this point, if you're watching this, what keeps me in the game. These are some of the things I've talked about. I'm curious if you want to comment what keeps you in the game. If you've watched this video, have you used tools? Have you found them to be helpful? Are you curious about them? There are a couple of good tools. There's been some bad tools, some cheating type of software put out there. Not recommended, because that can lead to banning and just being generally seen as a shithead if people figure out what you're doing. I mean, if you're using automated tools, at least at one point, if people were doing that and they were adding 1 million player points a week or something, it was pretty obvious that some scripting was going on, things like that. This type of tool is really just an aggregator to help play the game and enjoy it more, in my opinion. So we'll go over more advantages and features of this and how I use it. I by no means use every aspect of this utility. It's vast. It's got a lot going on. I mean, you can customize with the plugin. At least you can customize this heads-up display over here for all types of things, and you can look at finding even sweet spots on GBs quickly, lock information right at a glance, whether it's a 1.9 metric or 1.8, things like that. So super useful once you learn to rely on it and use it. Anyway, this is by no means a promotion for Forge Commander. I just wanted to talk about how this particular tool has helped me in these ways, and I will be posting some other videos on how I've used it to really optimize and enhance my friends listings, or my friends list, and really who I drop, who I keep, or who I add, right? So there's a lot to that. It's a big feature of the game, and you can get a lot of benefits from pruning your friends list and maintaining it and knowing who's doing what. Take care, and we'll see you on the next recording.